So you're going to meet me right at the counter, and your counter, you have one in your kitchen, hopefully you have one in the bathroom, and they really are a great, these are your ballet bars. So you really think you can't stretch at home, but you have these bars, you have these counters, they act as a ballet bar. So I'm going to do standing downward dog for those of you that are familiar with yoga. I'm going to place my hands a little bit shoulder width apart. I'm going to scoot back, and here you really want to be focusing on pushing your hips and shoulder back. So I'm getting a great stretch in my upper body and really kind of hanging my head down and through, getting a stretch through my shoulders, lats, trapezius. And then I'm going to come up into what we kind of call, kind of cheat it, kind of a standing cobra. So we're going to really kind of sink my hips through, getting a great stretch, lower back. I'm going to come back up, deep breath in, exhale as I'm coming down. And really focusing on pushing these hips back. You really want to lengthen through the body here. And sometimes you can do paddle your little feet a little bit, kind of working those hamstrings, my calves in particular. And then I'm going to come back up. So now we're going to do some nice hip circles. And for those of you that remember your youth, kind of imagine using a hula hoop, which is what I can certainly remember. So I'm just going to take a step back. My arms are on the counter, and I'm just going to do some really big circles. So I'm going to start by pushing my hips back and then really pushing them out to the side, really kind of dropping through, almost like a cobra position, and pushing to the right side. Nice big circle back around to the left, bringing back in, really kind of dropping through, just holding here for a minute, pushing back out and around, all the way through, really getting a nice kind of stretch. And then we're going to go to the other side, pushing the hips back through again. Deep circles round, keeping your arms kind of straight on the counter, using them for support. Back and around. And then nice stretch back out and coming up into a standing position. So we've just warmed up our hips and lower body, and with that great hula hooping action. So now we're actually going to be doing some calf and quad stretches, going a little bit deeper. We're at the counter again, so you're going to put your left foot forward, knee bent, and just get a really nice stretch through your calf muscle. Kitchen's a great place to do this, and also if you've seen our bathroom stretches, bathroom's a great place to do this too. Really kind of pushing back down through my heel, a nice bend in the knee, using the counter as support. I'm going to come through and rotate and switch on the other side. My right leg is now bent, my left calf is tighter, so I'm going to push my left calf back a little bit further, getting a great stretch through here. Holding that a little bit deeper. And with these stretches, you just want to be breathing normally. There's no deep breaths here or holding this. So now I'm going to rotate round, holding onto the counter. I'm going to do a great quad stretch. So I'm going to come up on my left leg, using the counter for balance. But the main focus here is to be tilting your pelvis and trying to get your legs parallel. And you really want to focus on tilting your pelvis under, so you get a great stretch in your quad and hip flexor. And pulling your leg back, and you're going to get a great stretch in this hip flexor right here. Pull it back further, maybe a little further. We'll see. Just kind of keeping your knees together. And we're going to drop this one back down. And do the other side. Same thing here, holding onto my foot. So depending on where you're comfortable, I'm going to tilt my pelvis through. And the minute you'll feel it, the minute you kind of tuck your pelvis under, you get a much better stretch in your hip. Holding on the top of my foot, tilting my pelvis under again, stretching my quad back, but you can still get a good deep stretch. And bring it back down and release. So now, done some upper body, done some lower body. and we're going to do a couple more stretches in the kitchen. So the last stretches I'm going to do in the kitchen are for my hamstrings, and kind of a sneaky one in here. We're going to get our piriformis, kind of quads in a little bit more, and I'm going to use this counter. So I'm going to put my foot up, I'm going to get a great hamstring stretch. Now ignore the little crunchy in my knees. I've got a little bit of crepitus in there, so you'll hear it at my age. So what I'm going to do is let my foot, first of all, kind of drop out, because I don't want to really worry about getting this stretch first. But my main focus is rotating my hips in, because you get a different stretch. If I open up, you get a different type of stretch. I'm going to rotate my hips forward, and then I'm going to slowly, as you can see, bring my foot up. I'm already getting a great hamstring stretch here, but what I really want you to focus on is lifting your chest up and then forward. And I'm not very flexible today, but what I'm doing is leaning forward, getting a deep stretch through here, even further through. But the idea is you want your chest up and forward. If you collapse in, the minute you collapse in, you lose this stretch through here. So really focus on being up, leaning forward, and it's a great hamstring stretch. And I'm going to take this leg down. I'm going to stretch out the other one. So up on the counter again. Who knew that your kitchen counter is a great stretching bar? I'm going to rotate my hips forward. Once again, closing this gap. It's really important, and you'll feel it. Try it for yourself. If you open your hip up and you rotate it back, you'll get already feeling the stretch in my hamstring. So my foot's flexed. I'm leaning forward, chest up. Now, if this is too much with your foot flexed, you can always point it. But for me, I want that deep hamstring stretch. So I'm really focusing on these 3 hamstring muscles here. So I'm lifting my chest up and leaning forward. I don't want you to collapse at all. The minute you collapse, you lose the stretch here. So up and then forward. And I'm going to bring that back down. And now I'm going to do a standing pigeon, which is a little bit deeper stretch. I'm going to get through my hip flexors here. So I'm going to let my leg kind of flop out. You can see there's an angle here, and then depending on how flexible you are, you're either going to have your leg closer to you or further away, and you'll feel it immediately in your piriformis. So I'm going to bring it in a little bit for me. I'm reaching up first, but then I am going to collapse forward, because here I'm really focusing on pushing my hips back and out, because I want to feel it all through my glutes, piriformis, and even my IT band, which we all love. So I'm draping forward this time, pushing my hips back. And we'll come back up, drop my leg. Going to repeat on the other side. And I understand a lot of people, I'm showing you on a high counter. You can always get a stool or a kitchen chair. I'm pretty flexible through here. So once again, my angle is here. I'm pushing my hips back, draping forward, really pushing those hips back and getting a really great piriformis stretch. Hanging out here for a minute because it feels really good. Going to be up and then lower my foot back down. And this is just a series of sequences that you can do in your kitchen while you're waiting for the coffee to brew. I actually didn't put a bagel on, so now I'm kind of hungry, so I'm going to do that now. But a great kitchen series.